Hi, I want to welcome you to Living It Out Colossians Lesson 17. This weekend has been a Memorial Day weekend, and we were delayed getting this up. And this morning it is one cold, wet, dark, dreary day here in Michigan, so I'm having to tape inside. So I want to thank you for your patience and allowing me the privilege of just enjoying the weekend and getting this video to you just a little bit late. We're going to be studying this week Colossians chapter 3, verses 18 through chapter 4, verse 1. And in these verses, Paul focuses on how an understanding of the Word of God in verses 12 through 17 should direct or act as an umpire in our relationships with our family and in the workplace. And as you recall, we've been on these verses 12 through 17 for a while. These are these virtues that we're to put on. And so this verses that we're studying right now for this week is an extension of that, where Paul gets to say, based on that, that's the things, the clothing that we're to wear, the garments that we're literally every day to put on, we need to live those out, particularly in our relationships within those closely around us and within the workplace, and quite frankly, just no matter who we meet every day. As a result of that, we're also, again, an extension of those verses to foster peace. Remember last week's verse that we are to let peace rule in our hearts. And we really can't have that true peace without Christ working in our hearts. And I'm going to tell you, when my relationship is out with somebody close to me, there is no peace in my heart. So these verses that we're going to be studying this week, verses 18 through chapter 4, verse 1, is an extension of what Paul has already been teaching us to do. The true test, I think, of a relationship with Christ is how we relate to others. And if you're allowing Christ to have his rightful place in your heart and in your life, and you're working to live out these scriptures, then it should show in how you relate to those around you, those that you meet outside your home, those that are within your home. The virtues that we've talked about for the last several weeks need to be fleshed out, lived out every single day. Our family right now is in the midst of a very exciting time. We have a wedding that's going to occur here this summer, and we're just delighted. Our oldest son is getting married to, and I'm going to tell you, I'm just thrilled with my future daughter, and I love her deeply, and we have just great times in which I get to mentor her one-on-one. Over the past several months, my husband and I have been doing something really fun in our home for our kids. We have been having couples in for what we call marriage mentor dinners. And it's couples who've been married anywhere from 4 years to 30 plus years. And we're talking about different topics on marriage, different things that we want to pass on to our kids to know. Of course, they've seen it lived out in our lives, but our lives are just one example of the different struggles that marriages face. And so we're asking these couples to do a little preparation as they come for dinner on the topic, and then come and share what it is, how God has worked in allowing that to be lived out within their marriage. And so we've had some really great times talking about it. We've done some incredible laughing and hearing just the best stories ever. Some of the stories that have caused me to laugh so hard I just about fall off the chair. But I love hearing what God is teaching different couples as they allow him to work in their lives, as they allow him to let peace rule in their relationships with each other. It is so important that we let God do that. Let the Word of God work within our relationships so that peace rules, so that we remain thankful in our relationship for each other, and so that we live out with each other a life of encouragement, that we're always looking to spur the other one on. And as we do that, it is so important that no matter what we do and say in our relationships with each other, that we let God be honored. Can you see now that this verses that we're going to be studying this week is actually an extension into what already Paul has been talking about? This is why it's so important when we're reading the scriptures that before we delve into them and think, well, that's what that means, we have to go backwards. We have to look at the verses previous. We have to look at the verses after. We have to look at the chapter that we're studying as a whole. We have to look at the book that we're studying as a whole and put it all into context. And this today is just this beautiful lesson of how now what we have been studying is just an overflow now into living it out every day in our relationships. This coming week, I'm going to encourage you to read this passage and try it from different translations. I'm also going to encourage you, please, to take time to go back and read verses 12 through 17 again. And then as you work on your study notes this week, I'm going to give you a question to ask for each relationship that I kind of see being represented here. And allow the verses of what we have been studying previously now to set the tone for allowing God to speak to your heart, and then to live this passage out very close to home. I'm praying for you this week, and I just pray that you will have a graceful week ahead. Take care.